Hello, lovely friend. I am Dr. Mary Barson.
And I'm Dr. Lucy Burns.
We are doctors
and weight management and metabolic health experts.
and this is the Real Health and Weight Loss Podcast.
Hello, lovely friend. How are you this morning on what is a miserable Tuesday morning in Melbourne? Honestly, the weather here, I know, I bang on it all the time. It's ridiculous that I still banging on it 5 years later. But it is miserable here. So I am going to introduce my own personal ray of sunshine, Dr. Mary. Hello, lovely friend. How are you today?
I am feeling good, my lovely luminescent Lucy. I am pretty tired. I was on call for the whole weekend at Lawn Hospital, saw lots of interesting things, did lots of interesting stuff, and I'm attempting to take it easy today, give myself a bit of rest and recuperation.
Yes, I love that. So often we don't prioritise rest. We're very good at being busy. We're very good at achieving, very task orientated, as are many of our members, followers, cohort, women, anybody. And rest, it's so interesting. So many people think rest is a bit lazy. But as you and I know, you absolutely have to complete the stress cycle. And the way we complete it is to finish it with some rest.
Yeah, it's an ongoing struggle for me, but I'm being conscious rest today. Yes, yep.
Indeed. All right. Well, today we have got a what I think is a great topic because, you know, it's all about us. But it is we're talking about why you and I aren't skinny. We've had multiple comments on social media over the years of like, why would I listen to you? You're not that thin. It's like, no.
It's a good one. Yes.
We're not. I guess from my point of view, I have a family history of type 2 diabetes. My dad has diabetes. So clearly there's some genetics in there with the ease of which I can become insulin resistant. And then coupled that with muscular dystrophy, I have no metabolic muscle organ, so to speak. So I gain weight like crazy, like so easily. And the olden day me used to just kind of go, oh, well, you know, gain weight, don't step on the scales, hide until I'd reach like some critical threshold, which usually was no clothes to wear. And then I go, oh, and then I'd procrastinate for days or weeks about getting on the scales because I just knew it was going to be, you know, in my own words, horrendous. Get on. And then I go, oh, now I have to do something.
Yep. The pain had become so great that you're like, it pushed you into action. Yeah. But not necessarily the right action. Am I right, Lucy? Lucy of old.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Lucy of old. Not, yeah. Well, it would be, you know, I would do calorie counting, restriction. There'd be multiple points along the way that would have to happen before I felt like I could take action. So I would need what I used to call a clear run. So there would have to be no events on because, you know, how could I go to an event? That event might be just, you know, coffee with a friend. It's not, I'm not talking major event. But coffee, you know, so I would then go, oh, and I'd cancel everything and just sort of stay home and count and track and hop on the scale 6 times a day and, you know, and then feel good that I had some action going. But it was really, when I think about it now, just a really unhelpful way to manage my weight.
Not sustainable and not getting to the root of that insulin resistance.
Yeah, 2 things, I think, insulin resistance and emotional eating. So I was a very, very good emotional eater, like so skilled.
Yeah, I had some good emotional eating skills, yeah.
Absolutely. What about you, Mess?
Similar but different. So I also have a very strong family history. So both my parents have type 2 diabetes. There is diabetes and obesity throughout my family. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a type of severe, you know, insulin resistance in the ovaries. And I have struggled with my weight my whole life, ever since a child. I was a chubby kid. And so for me, it's been a lifelong story. And, you know, I've got the whole suite, everything. You know, I even got gestational diabetes in my pregnancies, you know, despite doing everything, inverted commas, right. So for me, I can gain weight like crazy. I can remember when I was a medical student and I lived in a hostel with a whole lot of other rural medical students, and I'd look around at these other lovely, lovely humans that I was sharing this accommodation with in my 20s and just see what they ate. And they ate more than me, and they ate cakes, and they ate pasta, and they were all so much thinner than me with so little effort. But I was exercising hours a day and restricting and doing all of these things to control my weight, and yet I still wasn't as slim as these other people. And it is just my phenotype. It's just my genetic heritage. So I find that if I stop doing what works, if I take my foot off the accelerator as such, then I can very easily gain weight, and I can very easily gain weight, right now. And it's just something that I have to manage. And there have been times over the years where my weight has gone up again, and then I've taken action and got it back down again. The difference, I suppose, in the last few years is that I do it in such a much more healthy and sustainable way, a way that works with my metabolism rather than against it. It's not dieting, it's not restriction, it's getting to that heart of that insulin resistance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think same with me. So I used to, people have heard me use the lane assist analogy. I would be careering down the road of life on either one side, just, hoeing into everything, or on the other side, hoeing into nothing. And it would be just this, out of control feeling. The only time I felt in control was really when I was sort of hoeing into nothing, except that just is not sustainable. And the story in my head used to be, I will be able to sustain it because I'm very disciplined and I will be able to do it. And I could definitely do it for reasonable amounts of time. But then what would happen is that I would start to get a bit hungry again, and I'd start eating a bit more again, not tons, but it would then just sort of trigger this floodgate of the all or nothing. And then I'd just go back to eating, 2 packets of Maltesers a day. So it was a really wild ride, if you like.
Yeah, it does not sound fun. Not a fun ride.
No, not at all. And also the tricky bit would be that the reason I think I'd start eating, 2 packets of Maltesers again was that it was really my only tool to emotionally regulate. And I really had no other tools that I knew about or even understood. I didn't really even understand what I was doing. I just sort of thought, I'm just giving up again. When really it was about using food as a tool to soothe, to numb, to mitigate, to manage my emotional state, and just being so emotionally illiterate that I had no idea what I was doing. And I just would say to myself, oh my God, I can't believe you keep doing this. Whereas I think now I have got tools. Now, having said that, I am not perfect at all. And in fact, recently I was on holidays, yay, with some beautiful friends of mine, ours, my husband and I. We've got these, when you've just got really, really good friends. So we were away for 2 weeks together, and, it's interesting. Part of me thinks I let loose. I don't think I let loose, not loose in the old way of that loose would let loose.
Yeah.
But certainly drank more alcohol than I would normally drink. So we probably had a drink most days, and occasionally would eat more carbs than I normally do. And yeah, I gained some weight. And it's like, and I got back, and on the drive home, I was thinking, my clothes feel a bit tighter. And so I knew what was going on because I wasn't doing the things that normally keep my weight maintained. I was doing the things that don't maintain my weight. And so, it's not rocket science. When I got on the scales, I had gained some weight. That was just sort of evidence of what I'd been doing. And so old me may have gone, oh, God, and sort of thrown in the towel thinking, God, I can't even go on holidays for a couple of weeks and sort of relax without some sort of punishing consequence. And then I just sort of thought, and maybe, just gone, oh, stuff it. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not working. That's probably what I would have said. It's not working. Of course it's not working because I wasn't actually doing it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because on my way home then I was formulating a little plan. We drive, so there's plenty of time to be formulating plans. And I just decided that, right, well, what I need to do is do the thing that works, which is, change the things that I was doing. So I've been home a few days now, so, I've stopped having gin every night. That's been helpful. When you're on holidays, you'll often have like 5 o'clock sunset drinks. So the drinks come with the food. And even though we were doing low carb crackers and cheese, still eating more food than I would normally eat.
In that environment, yes. Yep.
Yeah. And I think this is the really interesting thing. Like, we talk a lot about, calorie counting is not the best way to lose weight. Calorie restriction is not the best way to lose weight. But there is no doubt that if you overeat, like you eat more for a considerable period of time, again, not one day, but in my case, 3 weeks, goes somewhere.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's right.
Even with low insulin. So I think we've done an episode earlier on, can I eat as much cheese as I like?
Yeah.
And the answer is, no.
Not without consequences. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's that non-hungry eating. So what about me? Well, I have gained some weight recently, and over the years it's a sort of come on and off and on and off over the years. And it has always been that little devil on my shoulder, that little inner critic wanting to scream at me and tell me that I'm hopeless and stupid whenever it has. And that there is a real pattern with me. So I mentioned that I am probably one of the most genetically primed people to be obese, have diabetes. Like, I just have got all the genes for it. And it is something that I have struggled with my whole life. But, if I eat low carb real food, if I do my intermittent fasting, if I do my strength training, then usually, things are under control. But if I just let any of those go for a while, the weight does creep back on. So circumstances. So I've got a 3-year-old now. When I was trying to get pregnant with him, I stopped fasting. And, the weight did sort of creep on during that time. Then when I was pregnant, I did gain a bit of pregnancy weight towards the end, as you typically do.
It's normal.
That's right. I didn't fast while I was breastfeeding, so then that was another time of some weight gain. And, so I gained weight with that whole adventure. And then, I got it back down again. Then I got that extremely annoying CSF leak, that neurological injury, which was just so challenging. And with that, I actually was in bed rest for
weeks.
Yeah. If you add it all up, not all together, but actually sort of multiple months of bed rest over that whole 7-month adventure. So 2 things happened there. I lost a lot of strength and I really deconditioned. And also I was gaining weight. And also during that time, I just let fasting go. And I don't even really completely know why, other than the mindset I was in was just, I just feel crappy. And I wasn't, eating the chips and chocolate and ice cream, but I just wasn't doing the things that I need to do, which is the strength training, the fasting. I was kept on track with my food, but not the other 2. But then I sort of, slowly getting it back down again. Then my mum got really unwell last year, and there was a lot of chaos and turbulence in my life relating to that. And just with that added stress, I stopped fasting. And then that was enough for the weight to start coming back on again. And there would be a time, old Mary would have been so pissed off about this. I just would have been like, this is not freaking fair. Here I am, I'm eating well, I'm not out having chips and chocolates and ice cream. It's just so unfair that this happens to me. But that's just not a helpful belief. And so I have reframed that belief. Instead, I think about, well, what if I wasn't doing all of these things, at least most of the time? Okay, so I've gained some weight. My pants are a bit tighter. I don't like it. I want to be 5 kilos lighter. I don't feel great about that. But if I wasn't eating low carb real food, if I wasn't managing my mindset, if I wasn't doing the things that are helpful to me, I'd have diabetes right now. I would be in a much worse situation. Whereas as it is, I'm very metabolically well. I am a hottie, healthy on the inside. And I'm so grateful that I'm a hottie. I just did a shift at Lawn, and I'm treating people who've had strokes and heart attacks and have got dementia and all of these consequences of insulin resistance. I just don't want that for myself. So, okay, my thighs and tummy are jigglier than I want. My pants are a bit tighter than I want, but I'm still healthy. And that is what I choose to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just love that, because same with me. I could have the mindset, I've got muscular dystrophy. I can hardly walk. So there's no strength training in my life. So my brain could go, well, if you can't do any strength training, what's the point? If you can't walk, what's the point? But what I try and focus on is thinking, well, I would like to be as lean as I can without damaging my muscles, because then the muscle fibers that do work have got less work to do. So that it's not about being thin so that I look good, although, to be honest, that still creeps into my mind that.
Absolutely. Mine too.
Yeah, diet culture, that you're not good enough if you're not thin enough, that, you can't be helping other women manage their weight if, you don't look like a supermodel, blah, blah, blah. It's a quiet voice, but it is still there, versus the actual reality, which is, well, if I was still eating, bags of Maltesers a day, which I did used to do because I had no skills to manage these emotions. And, we all have big emotional upheavals. You've had challenges with your own health, your family's health. You've got little kids. There's, chaotic household. I've obviously got my own health challenges. Reduced mobility sucks. Degenerative neurological disease sucks. But the option that I have is do nothing and basically end up in my Jason recliner watching reruns of Bold and the Beautiful for the rest of my life. And I don't really want to do that.
Yep. I can see how that has less appeal than doing something.
Yeah. So the consequence is that I certainly give less of a shit of what I look like, because I don't have a body that looks or even functions like a standard human, if you like. But that's not really what's important. What's important is your contribution, I think, to society, the relationships you have with your friends, plus or minus your family. And again, I use the family is double-edged. I know for many, many people, families are hard. And, we're coming into Christmas when family relationships rear their ugly heads and cause lots and lots of trauma for people. But yeah, having meaningful connections is so important to our well-being. And I think just feeling purpose in life.
You're the golden goose, Lucy. Like that beautiful analogy from Steve Covey. You are the golden goose, and you can lay these beautiful golden eggs, which is your contribution to society. It is your relationships, your friends, the way you enrich my life, the way you enrich the life of your patients. These beautiful golden eggs that you lay, and you have to look after the goose. And it doesn't matter. Nobody cares what the goose looks like. You lay these beautiful golden eggs, and to be able to keep laying them, you need to care for yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's the bit that we need to just keep front of mind for women. I know we have all been tarnished, if you like, by diet culture, which really plays at our own insecurities and vulnerabilities. And none of us are immune to that. But, I think about like your little Maxie, who's 3, and, he loves you with all his heart and soul, and he does not give a rat's ass whether you have a thigh gap or not.
Absolutely not. That's right.
And if we could cultivate that feeling and that connection and, somehow sell it, we would be bazillionaires, because that is really at the crux of it. Same with you. You love him with all your heart and soul. You don't care what he, looks like, whether he's got snot coming out his nose or whatever 3-year-olds have.
There's a lot of snot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we can cultivate that same feeling for ourselves, then really we're our own self-fulfilling machine, if you like. And I think that can be a really useful way to think about ourselves, our bodies, our, who we are, what we do.
Yes. I had my own little struggle with this recently when I found out that we had been, finalists in the Lifestyle Medicine Awards for the Australasian Society of Lifestyle Medicine. And you rang me up, Lucy, and I was like, hey, we're finalists. Like, there's an awards ceremony in Sydney. Do you want to come? And I had to think about logistics of kids, but then I got back to you and I did. But then, there's this little bit of my brain just goes, I wonder what I look like in the photos. Like, this isn't that just a horrendous little diet trauma hangover that we have, that there's this moment where we get to celebrate our achievement, our contribution to lifestyle medicine in Australia, which is something you and I are both so passionate about. But a little bit of my brain was just going, oh, but photos. And I mean, I just gently can brush that aside. But yes, we just need to shift the focus away to health, to contribution. That's what's going to make life so much more meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's tricky. There are still, diet culture is alive and well. And because we run a, health program, our Instagram feed, my Instagram feed is full of other people. Like, Instagram thinks I'm interested in that, which obviously I am, but it's full of people, and particularly sort of trainers. So gym bros, gym women, gym people who are still well and truly entrenched in calorie counting, who still use their physique as example of do what I do and you look like me. And so it's easy for us to feel vulnerable in this space because we don't do that and we don't look like that. And again, personally, I think our way is the best.
Totally.
I'm also but I am really, really mindful that there is, by us putting ourselves out there in this space without these gym bro bodies, we are fodder for criticism.
Yes. Yeah. And that is hard. That's always hard. I mean, no matter how tough you are or how tough you believe you are, it's still unpleasant. Getting criticism is still unpleasant. Getting negative comments. And, it's something that it does echo through your life, and it is something that we have to manage. But what's the alternative? The alternative is that we stop spreading our message and that we sort of run and hide.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
No, I don't want to do it. Look, there are days, don't get me wrong, there are days where I think, oh my God, why am I doing this? This is, horrendous. And then I just have to have a little, like you, gentle chat, little kind of rally of my own inner troops and go, no. I think what we do is important and hopefully helpful, and hopefully we provide a space for all of the people who are like us without their gym bod perfect bods, but genetically primed to develop obesity or type 2 diabetes. And we will never put up, the before and after pictures, because that's also really toxic, because it's not about what you look like. I'd love to be putting up, here's their bloods,
yes.
Before and after insulin results, which we certainly do when we do masterclasses. We will show people that this is what you can achieve. And I think that's really helpful because it doesn't add any moral value to what you look. It's really at the guts of health.
That's right. We could do some before and afters with ultrasounds of your liver, if it's your non-alcoholic fatty liver, and then there's your beautiful, healthy, smooth liver. Don't know if that would be such a scroll stopper on Instagram, but that's kind of what we believe in.
Totally. It's all about being a hottie, healthy on the inside. Healthy on the inside. So coming back from my holidays and I've gone, bit of weight on the scales. Old me would have gone, I don't know, I'll wait till after Christmas because, it's now November. I need a clear run. Remember, old me needed a clear run. New me has just gone, oh, look, let's just rein this in a little bit. Like, it's not like I don't have to do a whole overhaul. So the interesting thing is I am doing an audit. I'm tracking for maybe a week. Like, I don't need to track forever. But it does two things for me. One, it makes sure that I'm eating enough protein during the day so that I'm not hungry in the evening and vulnerable then to snacking from the cupboard. But two, it also gives me a little chance to pause from mindless scoffing of nuts. So, because in my brain I go, oh, if I eat those, I'll have to put them on the tracker. That's okay. I can put them on the tracker. But do I want to do that? No, I don't really want to do that. I think I'll just let them go. I don't need them. And so it just highlights, I think, what you do mindlessly versus what you actually do.
Yes.
So again, it's not a diet. It's just using this as data to make some adjustments without white knuckling your way through everything.
Yeah. And for me, the reset that I need to keep coming back to is just examining my life and looking at like just why aren't I doing the strength training? And for example, and for me, that's usually because I let other priorities push in on my time. That's my default, is I'll do everything for everyone else and nothing for myself. So it's just that little reset that, oh no, this actually is extremely important. I need to care for this golden goose. And then also just to be mindful with my fasting again. And like my fasting's not that extreme. It's sort of, 2 to 3 24-hour fasts a week. But I'm flexible with it. Sometimes it'll be less. Sometimes it might be more. But just tuning into my body and just making sure that I'm mindful that I can really nurture my body with short, sharp periods of not eating. And that is a good thing for me personally, and just making sure that I prioritize it. If I do both of those things, then, I get back on track really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which, of course, just brings me to a little public service announcement. We do have a Keep Staying on Track Through Christmas masterclass coming up. We will drop the link in the show notes, or you can go to our website at rlmedicine.com. And it's rlmedicine.com/Christmas. So it's not that hard to remember. But you, Mary, are giving a fabulous masterclass on options that you've got to stay on track, because for most of us, the default becomes it's all too hard and we just give up and do nothing. And our favorite thing, well, we've got a billion favorite sayings, as you know, but one of our favorite sayings is all or something. So doing something is better than nothing. And you've got some great strategies if people want to tune into that. It's November the 20th, 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, i.e. Melbourne time.
Melbourne time, absolutely. Manage the stress and the food environment of Christmas whilst having fun and staying healthy. It's totally possible with just those few brain-based strategies. So I'd love to see you there.
Wonderful. All right, friends, we will talk to you next week. Have a fabulous week ahead.
Bye now.
The information shared on the Real Health and Weight Loss podcast, including show notes and links, provides general information only. It is not a substitute, nor is it intended to provide individualized medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor can it be construed as such. Please consult your doctor for any medical concerns.